And joining us right now, you know him from Barstool, you read him from Barstool, you watch him on Barstool. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Smitty Smith of Barstool. Smitty, what's going on, man?
Much living the dream. We got the kids, we got the Phillies, and we got training camp. What more can you ask for?
That's a full schedule right there, especially if you throw the kids in there. Yee, that's a full schedule. Hey, man, I had to have you on because I saw this tweet from yesterday, and it really covered kind of both my reactions, both my emotions approaching the 6 p.m. trade deadline for Major League Baseball on Tuesday. The Dom Bomb. Your first reaction was solid. Good for as a rental, as a six-man rotation. Bump Sanchez, long reliever, maybe in the pen. Maybe actually Lorenzen ends up doing that. Give up some decent prospect and leave, but nothing superstarish.
Yeah, it was almost the word.
Almost the word. Yeah, I know, right? And then you go on to say, now just go get a bat. Let me ask you this. How happy are you that the Phillies got somebody for the rotation, potentially somebody for long relief as well? And then how disappointed that they didn't get that bat? What's both sides of the coin there?
I have, after last year's run, I have learned that, or knew before that, just to trust Dombrowski and whatever he does. He's earned it. He earned it with the Marlins. He earned it with the Red Sox winning rings. He earned it with the Tigers almost winning them rings. And he earned it turning around the shark show that he was given with the farm system here with Clentac and rebuilding this organization to a pennant winner. I'm going to trust him no matter what. I like getting the arm, Lorenzen. He's a great short-term rental. It shores up the rotation. The Phillies now, I'm not going to say that they do, but they arguably have the best rotation in baseball from top to bottom, bullpen all the way down to Wheeler as the ace. They might not have like the best single individual fireballer in the pen or in the starting rotation, but they're just consistent. Like that's what's been keeping them in games. Has been their pitching going deep and their bullpen been lighting it out. And that's without Alvarado. That's without Sir Anthony, even though he had to save last night. And then that's with Aaron Nola not really knowing like what the hell he's doing. I mean, Taijuan Walker's leading the league in wins. Ranger Suarez hopefully is coming around. I mean, Wheeler's been dominant. Sanchez, he probably could pitch you a sixth inning every once in a while, but he's been serviceable. And now you add in Lorenzen. I mean, they are stocked going into the playoffs, and that's great. Would I have loved a good right-handed bat to play the outfield, get Schwarber out of there from the most part? Yeah, I think Dombrowski tried. There's rumors for Hernandez from Seattle. The Duvall was also another one. I mean, just there wasn't much trades going on in general around the league, and I think he tried, but I'm okay without the bat. The top part of the superstars haven't been playing like superstars at all, besides Harper. That's going to come around hopefully towards now and the end of the season. And if that happens and you minimize Jake Cave a little bit in left, maybe you go Rojas in center and Marsh in left full time, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
The one thing I want to say is you look at the pitching staff, and you're right. They have been consistent. Individuals have been inconsistent, Aaron Nola, but as a whole, even in like a Nola rough start, usually you'll see the bullpen come in and settle things. Same thing with Zach Wheeler, although he's found some consistency. Now, at the time we tape this, he pitches tonight, so watch him, get shelled. But, for the most part, he has been one of their more consistent starting pitchers. Suarez has had his ups and downs, just had a really good start. Taijuan Walker has been more consistent. So adding this arm and giving a rest to guys like Zach Wheeler and giving a rest to a guy like Aaron Nola could certainly be beneficial.
Yeah, and you saw that going in the World Series last year with Nola and Wheeler. They probably won't in a minute, but actually they were spent a little bit. That's why I said in that tweet, I wouldn't mind a six-man rotation. I would not mind that at all, just to give those top two guys a rest. Because if you want to win a World Series, they have to come down and slam it around, up and down, all over the place, come NLCS and World Series time. And you saw it up until the World Series last year.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you said about Dave Dombrowski, because I was just talking about this on yesterday's show, and it's so interesting. Now, just as a comparison, I remember driving around Pittsburgh when they had just won. I was out there for work, and I remember driving around Pittsburgh, and they were just coming off their last Super Bowl victory. They had just beaten the Cardinals in the Super Bowl. I remember driving around in Pittsburgh, and I remember listening to sports talk radio out there talk about a Steelers franchise that didn't know what they were doing. And of course, at that point, I remember like in Philadelphia, you could get away with this because there's no one has won a championship other than the Phillies at that point. Okay. In recent memory, Phillies had just won the World Series, but you can't talk about an organization like that. You have to be able to trust your Steelers. They've won 7 Super Bowls then at that point. So I remember thinking about that. What happens if that ever happens in Philadelphia? So not that we've had a slew of championships here in Philadelphia, but Howie Roseman has now been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years with two different coaches and 2 different quarterbacks. The Phillies now have Dave Dombrowski as their president of baseball operations, and he's been now to 5 World Series. He's won 2 of them. Like, is there just an ultimate, trust going on right now between, you say, like Eagles fan bases and the Howie Roseman, as there is now with the Phillies front office and the Phillies fan base?
Well, Howie had a long time to figure it out, and he had to earn it.
Yeah.
I think we all know that. I mean, Howie was GM during the Dream Team. Howie survived to the point to turn it around to win a Super Bowl, especially after hiring Chip Kelly. People forget that he was part of hiring Chip Kelly. Like, good for him. Good for him. He figured it out. He ultimately swallowed his pride with drafting, which was his worst part of being a GM by far. He basically put out a Twitter poll on who I should select after picking Jalen Reagor, and has been accurate, or he's picked the best SEC player available. It ain't that hard, and he's done that, and he's showing success. I'll give him credit for Jalen Hurts as well. I mean, nobody saw that coming. In fact, he was getting railed for it at the time. But he's earned it. He's earned it. Dombrowski earned it before he got to Philly. Right. And credit to Middleton and management for seeing that, hey, maybe they shouldn't just try to find the next Billy Bean. And if Dombrowski's there, somebody established like Pat Gillick was there after Ed Wade, might as well go with him. And it's working out. His eye for talent is second to none. And he's proven it. And I will blindly trust him with whatever goes on. Howie, I'll probably still question.
Okay. Yeah, we have to. I mean, it's more fun that way. I'm curious, when you talk to your compatriots there at Barstool, and you guys got people from all over, of course, the country there, but especially, New York Mets fans, especially Patriots fans, all that. I'm curious for a couple things. One, with the Phillies, how are they handling the Phillies really starting to bury the Mets and the Mets burying themselves when it comes to all the selling they did at the trade deadline?
It's interesting at Barstool with the Mets, because last year people claimed the NL East was over in late May, June. And there were a few realistic people out there who just like, it's the Mets. Like, we've been through this before. Remember 2007? Remember basically our entire lives? And there are others who just felt cocky and got the steam and were blowing it. And you saw what happened last year. And this year, karma is king, and it's come right back to them. So they're not really worried about the Phillies. They're more worried about themselves, and they're sad about it, as they should be. If you have the highest payroll in Major League Baseball history, possibly even like sports history, and are waving the white flag by August, that's an embarrassment. They should feel bad about their team. They should feel bad about themselves. And maybe once they get that, $120 million that they're paying players not to pay on their team, which is more than, I think, like 12 ball clubs, they once they get that off the books, they'll have a chance again. But hey, Uncle Stevie, good for you. Keep spending that money. Maybe not the right way, but keep spending that illegal SEC money earned. Congrats.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to this Phillies lineup, we've obviously watched the struggles of Trey Turner all year long. Nick Castellanos just had the home run in Tuesday night's game against the Marlins there, which was great to see him do that. Is there a Philly that you still think is just raring to break out and start really carrying this team?
Let's see if Reese comes back in the playoffs.
Ooh, I like that. Oh, a little outside the box there. I like that, friend.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to see. Everybody besides Trey Turner has gotten hot at some point this season. I mean, Castellanos was first half All-Star and then struggled. Schwarber had June. He had Hoagie Fest and continues to struggle after that. I think hopefully, like last year, they all come at the right time and push towards the playoffs and start playing together. But I mean, Schwarber and Castellanos and Turner are the three that kind of just need to be more consistent. And Harper's always going to bring it, always has, always will. I mean, you saw it last night and the ninth again. The real story of this team and this lineup is three guys, in my opinion: Marsh, Bohm, and Stott. Three guys you don't really think that have been the glue of the lineup up and down all year, but they have been. They've been consistent. They've been doing their thing, and that's what's been keeping the top of the order, which has struggled at times, together, and that's what's been keeping them winning games. So as long as those guys and Harper keep at it, and hopefully Harper and Castellanos and shit, maybe even Trey Turner one of these days gets it going, like they're going to be just fine.
All right, playoff bound.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, all right.
The more, like, just look at the teams around. You're not worried about the Mets like last year anymore. The Marlins pitching staff great. I don't think they have enough firepower in their lineup, and they didn't really improve that much. Yeah, they got Josh Bell, but like even like Mean Gene, I didn't know he was struggling that bad there. I wouldn't mind seeing him back in red, but they're not going to stay around. They're going to falter. The Diamondbacks, young ball club, basically won already this year. They're happy. They're not going to stick around. I think Gabe Klappler is doing a great job out there. He's got guys you never even heard of winning again. They'll probably be in the mix, but other than that, I mean, the NL Central, the Reds have been great as of late. I don't know how they're going to react to a playoff push. Brewers are so inconsistent as well. Cubs aren't going to stay there. So, I mean, there's just between the three spots outside of the Braves, who are obviously winning the NL East, I think the Phillies pretty much easily win one of them, if not the top spot.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. That sounds awesome. I want to tap into that pulse again there from outside markets. Jalen Hurts seems like he keeps on getting disrespected by people outside the Philadelphia market, not really knowing how good he is. People bumping him outside top 5 on the list of best quarterbacks in the NFL and all that stuff. From your opinion and also the opinions you hear, what do you make of Jalen Hurts, and what do the people you're around make of Jalen Hurts?
My opinion of Jalen Hurts is he is everything you want in a football player and a human that is possible. We all knew that as a human coming into the last year off the field. He's a great humanitarian. He works his balls to the bone, and he does everything and says everything that you want out of your franchise quarterback. It's just a question of if he could make better decisions with the football, which I thought he could improve on, and basically go from an 80 throwing power and accuracy up to like a 90 in men. And he went up to like an 80. He went from an 80 to like a 95 last year in both. And I've never seen that happen in my lifetime with any quarterback in one season. I didn't think that was possible. He can just grow arm strength and accuracy like that. And he did, and he earned it. So I'm fully on board. Those are my only two concerns. Mm-hmm. And he has definitely come around in my mind. And the only reason that people outside of this market put him down is because they either think he's still like a running quarterback, even though his passing numbers like just blew everybody out of the water, or they're just not watching every play of every game like we do. We see it. We see the touch on the ball. We see the plays that he makes. It's unbelievable what he did last year. And if he was a bit of a diva or did not have that work ethic coming in before he was a superstar, maybe I would question maybe a little bit of a fallback. I don't see it. See it. If anything, I think he improves and actually wins MVP.
No, I just want to go back to a phrase. He works balls to the bone. Did I get that right?
Balls to the bone, baby. That's Jalen Hurts.
If that's not on a T-shirt yet, man.
Sure.
We need to get that on.
You got it.
I'm just picturing like the writers at the combine just taking notes on the player. Did he work balls to the bone? Like Ray Didinger. Hey, he worked ball to the bone.
If you can get Ray Didinger to just say that phrase, I think you won.
And what about everybody else that you see, you talk to of the national scene there? Why are people not convinced that Jalen Hurts is amongst the elite quarterbacks in the NFL?
They just didn't watch him outside the playoffs. They just didn't, and they just don't realize what he can do. And between that and overvaluing other quarterbacks who might have a lot of potential, but haven't done it like he did last year, like a Joe Burrow. When's Josh Allen really gonna put it all together team wise for a year like Jalen Hurts did last year with this team? People put Trevor Lawrence, so there's still a lot of potential above Jalen Hurts sometimes. I get it, but I've seen Jalen Hurts play. I know he's better than basically every quarterback out there besides Patrick Mahomes.
Gotcha. I want to ask you one final question, and it's something that we don't really talk about much because thank God for training camp, and thank God the Phillies are, again, I'll say this with them playing tonight, but hitting a bit of a stride here, hopefully. We don't have to talk about that James Harden fella with the 76ers. Do you have an outcome in particular that you're rooting for? Like, does everybody eventually hold hands and sing Kumbaya and he's back and everything's fine? Or do you want just Maxey and Embiid to be running the show here in Philly?
Kumbaya is the best case scenario for the team. I think it happens. Probably not. I think either he gets shipped, but by all accounts, Daryl Morey isn't going to trade him for peanuts. So he might have to report to training camp, and he might show up in a fat suit again, which, it'll be great content, but it really doesn't do much. I think their hands are obviously tied with this, and it stinks because it doesn't make them the greatest team that they possibly can be. But I'm fine with running with Maxey and Embiid because that's what you got. Like, what else? What else are you really going to do? And I think they will be competitive with that solely because of Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse might put that window of Embiid MVP wise. What he has 3 to 5 years max at playing at that level as a big man. Nick Nurse might run him into the ground and maybe turn that into 1 to 2 years possibly, but he will get all of the most out of every single player on that team and actually coach them well, unlike some in the past who might not have. So I'm very excited about that to see what they can do. Tobias Harris is one guy I think is going to have a phenomenal year under Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's going to be coached the right way. He's not going to be put in a position where he's just spotting up on the outside and trying to be a knockdown JJ Redick shooter like what they try to make him be over the last 2+ years just to fit in as a max contract player. Nick Nurse is going to get the best out of him, and he's looking for another contract. I think he's going to come ready to roll and excel.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good, man. I'm with you, by the way, as far as Tobias Harris goes. I think for Maxey and for Embiid to an extent, because I think he'll be good under anybody, but other guys that I'm looking to just take that step forward, Maxey continue to take steps forward, and I want Tobias Harris to take a step back, as in a step back into the role that he had when he was with the Clippers, and that we've been longing for so long. And I think a guy like Nick Nurse can make that happen for him. Smitty, Adam Smitty Smith, Barstool, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for jumping on with us, man.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys are following all things Smitty on all social media platforms and, of course, at Barstool as well. Thanks, Smitty.